Hello and welcome to my Let's Play of Skyrim. Skyrim has been around for a year now, and next month they are releasing the Dragonborn DLC on the Xbox, and no doubt they're following that up with the PC version a few weeks later. I originally got Skyrim a year ago and started playing it for about 2 months, and then I got bored. But my interest has been reinvigorated by the possibility of going back to Morrowind, the possibility of going to Solstheim. In fact, I'm pretty certain that we're going back to Solstheim, and I can see that Bethesda are basically making an effort to cater to everyone who was disappointed with the scope of Skyrim, and are giving the whole of Tamriel to us, or at least I hope they are anyway. Another reason which I've gone back to play Skyrim is that it's been out for a year, and a year is long enough for some decent mods to come out and all the bad parts of Skyrim to be fixed, so we can actually have a decent game, or the game that we always wanted out of Bethesda. As you can see, I'm starting off playing as a Khajit, and his name shall be Cat, and we will just play through this tutorial, which pretty much runs on rails, but it also gives us a good introduction into what the game and what the main theme of the game is going to be about. I'm going to roleplay this Khajit character as a thief, which makes sense because all the Khajit are supposed to be thieves and generally untrustworthy. It wouldn't make much sense to play him as a warrior, and I haven't played a thief character in Skyrim yet, so it's a first time, and hopefully it will make it more entertaining. A thief dragonborn. I'm actually quite excited to get back into Skyrim because Skyrim actually had so much potential, and I was expecting a lot out of it. It did win Game of the Year, and a lot of people bought it, and a lot of people played it, and if you look around on YouTube there are a ton of walkthroughs, a ton of let's plays, a ton of mod reviews, so they did something right, but I'm disappointed because they could have made it a lot more. Of course, it's going to be difficult with deadlines and them having to make a profit and them having to release further content on DLCs and save things for the future, and you can't really expect too much for £20 or £30. But now I'm actually getting a lot more excited because all the potential of Skyrim is actually starting to get released through some very good mods. If you look on the Nexus, if you look at the DLCs that have come out and are coming out, if you count those as mods, and if you look at all the mods in progress, if you look at Dark Creations for instance, they are setting up a Beyond Skyrim project, and no doubt they'll use a lot of the textures and a lot of the models from Dragonborn to make Morrowind come to life. There's also been some decent mods set in elsewhere. I can't remember the model's name, but one modder has made some really good looking textures and models and packaged it all together in a mod called Moonpath to Elsewhere. There's also a modder who was in the process of making a Solstheim mod, but since the new DLC is coming out in Solstheim, he's since moved his attention to High Rock. In case you didn't know where High Rock was, that is the land that is covered in Daggerfall, and if he managed to do that, then you'd have Skyrim covering Skyrim, Morrowind, High Rock, and there are projects for Cyrodiil and Black Marsh as well. So you essentially have the whole of Tamriel covered. And although I wasn't exactly expecting that when Skyrim came out, it was something that I was hoping for, and it looks like it might come a reality. However, it's not only the scope of Skyrim that I was slightly disappointed with, I was actually more disappointed in the gameplay mechanics. To be honest, if you look at Skyrim, and if you just had a game that played like Skyrim but didn't have the scope and it didn't have the graphics of Skyrim, then you'd be really disappointed with it. If you played other RPGs like Dark Souls, you'll know that the combat in Dark Souls is vastly superior. it's actually satisfying and really adds to the game. If on the other hand you play Skyrim, you know that the combat doesn't actually add to the game, and the combat is just a novelty or an aside to all the exploration. It might sound like I'm moaning a lot about the game, but these were problems. When you had combat in Skyrim, it was more of a case of just mashing the attack button. There was no real sense of actually hitting your opponent or getting hit, and there wasn't really any tactics. At the health regeneration bar, some people might have liked it, but I found that made the game too easy even on master difficulty. And the magic regeneration was just silly as well, because you could just completely fry people with lightning or burn people with flames, and it was just too easy. Of course, occasionally you'd come across a powerful enemy, like if you were playing as a low level character you'd come across a troll, and then the health regeneration of the troll would just completely make the game too difficult and you'd end up dying. On the other hand, if you were a high level character, all these trolls, all these undead that you'd face, and even the dragons would just be a walkover, and you could just walk into a Stormcloak camp or you'd walk into an Imperial camp and you just end up killing everyone in sight without even a scratch. Or if they scratched you, because of your health regeneration, you just shrug off these massive gaping sword wounds in about 10 seconds, and then you just go on and kill a few more people. So what I'm saying is, I found the combat unsatisfying. There's also an element of the enemy AI being incredibly stupid. Of course, AI is one of the most difficult things to program, but when you have a situation where you're a thief or an assassin and you just go into sneak mode and you just fire a bow and arrow into someone's back, you'd expect his friend to be at least startled or at least a bit bothered that his friend's dead, but instead after about 5-10 seconds they go back to eating or chatting away, and it just doesn't put very much of a good impression on the AI. But I have to say, this thankfully has been improved. It's actually been made manageable. So although the game and the combat isn't quite as satisfying and rewarding like a game like Dark Souls, but it's still satisfying and it's still rewarding in its own right. And I'm going to play through this Let's Play with a few mods that do exactly that. Most of the mods I've taken are from this site called Skyrim Gems, which I'll list below, and Gems stands for Graphical Enhancement Mods. Sorry, Gameplay Enhancement Mods. And they all link back to Skyrim Nexus mods, so you can download these for free and improve your game. It's not only the combat that needed to be improved as well though. There were a lot of problems with the random monster encounters, especially the encounters with wolves and bears, and it just seemed silly. As soon as you walked up a mountain path then you would get a starving wolf attacking you. It wasn't really like a challenge to beat them, it was just an annoyance. It's like those cliff races in Morrowind, if you've ever played Morrowind. But again, they've actually made mods for that too, and now those little annoying things that stopped me playing and made me fast travel instead of walking around exploring the place have actually made the game a whole lot more enjoyable. So throughout this Let's Play, what you'll see is a few mods that I've selected out of the Skyrim Gems list, and you'll be able to see how it improves the gameplay, although it might be not immediately apparent to someone who's looking at it through YouTube, but it really makes a difference when you actually play it. And especially if you've played Skyrim before, you'll be able to see what the difference is before and after the mods. I haven't included many mods that are graphical mods, such as like nicer armors and shinier weapons, because I don't really think they particularly add to the gameplay. And so what we're doing now is we're coming up to the end of the video, so I'll stop it and then we will talk about the next section of the Let's Play and hopefully talk about a few more mods while we're playing along. Okay, I hope to see you then. We'll just finish off by dumping off all our rubbish onto this naked body and equipping his fur boots, Stormcloak, cuirass and iron war axe for the upcoming scene.